Hello, this is Jill from Baby Daisy Crafting. Thank you for joining me again today. Today this is our project. It's a pretty little card, a little bit of stamping and high heat embossing, but mostly punches. Really nice black and white with a splash of colour. I really like this card. Very simple, and I'm loving these new little punches. They are called the Bitty Blooms Punch Pack. They coordinate with the Happiness Bloom suite in the new catalogue on page 25 of the Spring Summer catalogue. 3 little flower punches and 1 punch that punches out leaves and centres of flowers. Really, really pretty, really useful. So let's get started. Let me show you how to make this card. So we start off with my normal card blank, which is an A6, a C6 card blank. It started off life as a piece of card which was 21 by 15 centimetres or 8 1/4 by 6 inches, and then I've scored it in the middle, which is either in metric at 10 1/2 or in imperial at 4 1/8. I've burnished it with my bone folder to make sure I've got a nice sharp crease there. Then the first thing I'm going to do is do the stamping. This stamp is actually from a new stamp set which is called Amazing Life, I'm going to say, and it's a new stamp set. Let me just grab it off my shelf. It's a new stamp set in the new catalogue. Actually one that I got free at On Stage. I try and mark my stamp set so that I can remember which ones I got free. Really lovely. I've seen a lovely good luck card today made with this one and this one. I've made a card already with this that I'll be on my blog fairly soon. Really lovely. So let me show you how I made my card using this stamp. So we're going to use the Happy Birthday, so just this stamp here, the Happy Birthday, on my card. It's on black and I'm going to emboss in white, so I need to make sure I really use my embossing buddy to make sure there are no sticky fingerprints or marks on here that's going to make the embossing powder stick to it. And the stamping needs to be roughly at 7 centimetres from the top. So I'm just going to bring this down here, measure, and I'm just going to measure at 7 centimetres and put a tiny mark over this side, so it's not where the stamping is going to be, but it'll just give me a bit of an idea where I need to stamp. So I'm going to come in with my Versamark pad. This is my one that I've marked with a little bit of grey ink, but it doesn't matter because it's not going to show through the white embossing powder today. So just about, so I don't want it to be centralised, I want it to be one side, I want it to be straight, and I want it to be about 7 centimetres from the top. So roughly about there. Lovely. There we go. Pop that away. I'm going to come in with my white embossing powder. A spoon, and just put a little bit of embossing powder on there and tap it off, and maybe give it a bit of a flick and a blow, just to get rid of those bits. And if there are still any stray flakes, you can just flick them with your finger or with a paintbrush. I've got a tiny paintbrush over the side here which I use. Oh, there we go, like so. And then I'm just going to come in with my heat embosser heating tool and heat that. I'm just going to leave it off and just let the heating gun heat up a little bit before I do it, because otherwise you end up blowing some of the powder before it's got any heat. There we go, it's warm now. Open it out a bit. And when you're doing this at home, you might just want to leave your card a little bit, because the heat dries out the card and it just takes a little while to settle back. It will seem a little bit warped to start with. Obviously I'm working on it today, so I can't do that, but you might want to do that with yours. There we go. And I'm just going to rub out my little pencil mark so I don't forget to do that. Right, so while that does go back to normal, hopefully, I'm going to come in and punch my shapes out. So I've got a variety of cardstock here. So I've got Melon Mambo, and I'm going to punch a flower out of that one. I've got Bermuda Bay, and that's a different flower. I'm going to do exactly the same format as I've done on my card here, apart from one. I'll show you that in a sec. There we go, that's Bermuda Bay. I'm going to do, instead of 2 yellows, I'm going to do one out of Flirty Flamingo. That's the different one today. So I'm just using little cut-offs of card here, little scraps of card. I'm then going to do 1 yellow one, so I don't need 2 of those because I've got the Flirty Flamingo one instead. There. A purple one, grape, gorgeous grape. Loving all these bright colours. Anyone who's followed me for a while will know that I like a rainbow. This one for Coastal Cabana. And this one, this is Pacific Point. And then Mango Melody. There we go, and that's that one. I get it out there, yeah, I can get it out that little bit, so I don't need to use. There we go, and then it's just a case, done with those ones, but we just need to punch some leaves. So just come in with this punch. Now what you could do is punch a strip, and then you won't waste the spots. I don't need the spots at the moment, the centres of flowers, because I've used pearls for mine. So if you cut a strip, you can actually just cut the leaves. So it just saves. I'm very thrifty crafter. I don't like waste. It will save a little bit of your cardstock, and it's still very easy to do. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 leaves on here, like so. There we go. 6 leaves, there we go, and that's everything we need. And can you see that I've put this stripy paper at the bottom? This is just a little strip from the Botanical Butterflies, which is a free set with Celebration, to go at the bottom of my card. It's coloured on one side with butterflies, you can see, but on the back it's monochrome. So I'm going to do that first. I'm going to stick my strip of paper down there. Slightly longer than my card base, because as you'll know, I like to trim off so I get a really clean edge when I've done. So I don't ever cut them exactly to size. I've just got glue on the card right there. Glue on my finger. Bring in something to wipe. I've not done that very carefully with the glue today. There we go. I hate it when you get smudges of glue. I think it looks really unprofessional. But that will hopefully dry. It does dry clear, so there we go. And I'll just come in with my scissors and trim off a little bit at the edges so that it's a very crisp edge there without anything overhanging or stopping short. There we go. And then it's just a case of adding our flowers. Okay, so I'm going to start with, actually I'm going to measure the middle of my card just to make sure we do centralise this. So I'm going to measure, it's 10.5, so I'm going to measure 5.25. That's the middle point, so I know where to put my middle one. I only need to mark one. So just come in with your Tombow and just a tiny dab of glue in there, and then a tiny tab of glue in there, tiny dab of glue on the Mango Melody one. I had really fun playing with these. I've got lots more ideas for these little blossoms from the from this set. Really love these little punches, and they're so easy to use compared to dies where you've got to get the big shot out and you've got to run it through several times. So easy to use these dies, and I think for beginner crafters they're ideal. They're so easy, and you don't need expensive a big tool like the big shot. So I really like that. Oh, I've done the Coastal Cabana in the Bermuda Bay the other way around, but I don't think it matters. Oh, my glue's clogging up. Right, let's just get a cocktail stick to wipe that off. There's too much glue on there. There we go. Find it's quite an old Tombow that I'm using, and it's getting a bit stuck in it. I think it's one that was left in the back of the drawer, so it's dried out a bit. Usually I've used them by the time they start drying out. So there we go. And then I've got Pacific Point and Flirty Flamingo. So very similar, but just slightly different colour scheme. And then I'm just going to come in with my leaves and plonk them. Actually, I'm going to squeeze, because these leaves are so tiny, just going to squeeze a little bit of Tombow onto my lid here and just pick it up with a cocktail stick. Just because you need a tiny amount of glue, and I don't want to have glue splodging everywhere. There we go. There we go. Right, so I hope you've all had lovely holidays, and are all back in the swing now. I've been back in the swing for a couple of days, a few days now. The catalogue is in full swing now, the new catalogue, and you all seem to be loving it, loving all the floral things, loving all the butterflies. Really lovely. I'm at the minute I'm in love with the frogs from the Celebration catalogue. I've been playing around with those, so look out for projects using those fairly soon. Right, okay, now I've done this slightly higher up than I did before, so I haven't left room for one at the bottom there, so I'm going to put another leaf at the top here, but it doesn't matter. And then the last thing that we need to do, there we go, the last thing we need to do is put some pearls on there. So I'm going to bring in my pearls, if I can find them. Should have gotten them out before. Where are my pearls? Okay, I need a new pack. Don't seem to have any open. Here we go. Let's do my pearls, and I'm just going to use my pokey tool to lift a pearl off and plonk in the middle of my flower, so they're all going to have a pearl in the middle, just to lift them a bit. But you could have cut the circles out with the punch and just use card circles. You don't need to have pearls. There we go. And that's our card made. So I hope you like my little project today. I'm really quite fond of that card. I like it. Suits me. I like having a monochrome look with that splash of colour, and I love those rainbow colours. You could do it in pastel colours if you wanted. That might look quite nice as well. Or you could theme your colours, have pinks or yellows and oranges. Anyway, that's it from me today. If you'd like to purchase anything, if you'd like to get your hands on any of the free Celebration items by spending £45, pop down to my shop, the link is below. You can see my blog post about this card with all the measurements you'll need. There's a link to that as well. If you'd like to make sure you don't miss any more of my videos, please subscribe and then click on the bell, which will mean you'll get an email notification every time I post. And I think that's it. Okay, so have a lovely day. I hope you've enjoyed my project, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.